can!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Right, on the show today, India humbled Pakistan yet again at the Cricket Asia Cup, but the match will be remembered for two things. One, India's clear dominance and how this rivalry has become a one-sided affair. And two, the antics that Pakistan got to making it a childish act even as they struggle in the tournament. Lots of football news heading your way over the show too. Jose Mourinho, after promising to lead his Turkish side to glory, is now busy criticizing the system itself, saying football in the country is not up to the mark. It's not up to his level. He said this after his own unceremonious exit. And the real fight for supremacy between two footballing legends, Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, will reach summit clash in just weeks from now, and both promising visits to India that is bound to energize fans here and of course the sport itself. But who will win India over? A look at all of that coming your way, but first, Sports 360. Starting with football and the Premier League, Arsenal salvaged a point in a crucial game versus Manchester City. Erling Haaland scored the opener for City in the 9th minute. The Gunners were headed for a loss, but Gabriel Martinelli scored a goal in stoppage time. With a 1-1 draw, Arsenal stays second in the points table. They are 5 points behind table toppers Liverpool. On to Formula One, Verstappen continued his winning run at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. He finished first to stay in hunt for the driver's title. Table topper McLaren's Oscar Piastri was disqualified after a crash. Even his teammate Lando Norris failed to capitalize. He finished 7th. Mercedes' George Russell came 2nd, and Williams' Carlos Sainz grabbed the 3rd spot. On to tennis, Team World beat a star-studded Team Europe 15-9 at the Laver Cup. Carlos Alcaraz kept Europe in the hunt with the doubles and singles win, but it was Taylor Fritz who held his nerves to beat Alexander Zverev 6-3, 7-6. With this, Team World have now won the Laver Cup 3 times in 8 editions. In news from women's cricket, Australia and India played out a classic third ODI in India. The Aussies beat the hosts by 43 runs in the series decider. Batting first, Australia posted 412 after Beth Mooney's 138. Smriti Mandana scored the second fastest ton in the chase in one-day internationals, and that was just of 50 deliveries. Despite this heroic act, India were bowled out for 369 with a combined total of 789 runs. It was also the highest aggregate total in women's cricket. Australia took home the series 2-1. In athletics, America's Noah Lyles is a 4-time world champion in the men's 200-meter dash. He's now level with Usain Bolt with 4 titles in the 200 meters category. Lyles also anchored Team America to 4x100-meter relay gold in 37.26 seconds, 0.26 seconds ahead of Team Canada. America, with 16 golds and a total of 26 medals, finished top of the table at World Athletics Championship. And to wrap this up, Botswana has declared public holiday to celebrate the country's 4x400 meters gold medal. The country became the first African nation to win the World Championship title. Country's president, Duma Boko, confirmed that September 29th will be a national holiday to celebrate the achievement. This is a day ahead of the country's Independence Day. It's down to the Super Fours of the Asia Cup, and normally contests closer to the big final only intensifies as teams aim to get better with each match. That sadly doesn't apply to the India-Pakistan affair. It was yet another one-sided victory for India. The only intensity from Pakistan came from empty glares and stares, controversial gestures and false bravado that really fell flat. India played some solid cricket in the match. They bowled well, curbing the opposition after their solid start, did well to restrict them, and then executed the run chase with relative ease. There were a few hiccups, yes. Some wayward bowling by India, dropped catches losing wickets when it was all a bit unnecessary, but the opposition was far too insipid that even those lapses did not cost India. That was the difference between the two sides there. One team could get away with a one-sided win despite making mistakes on the field. Rivalry, you ask, I feel there was none. And that's how it's been now for some years. Something the Indian skipper openly acknowledged post the game, almost in a taunt.
What is a rivalry? If two teams have played 15 matches and it's 8-7, that's a rivalry. Here it's 13-1 or something. There is no contest. My request is that we should now stop calling India versus Pakistan matches a rivalry.
And the same sentiment was reflected across the cricket fraternity too, that a face-off that was getting hyped up by everyone just doesn't exist anymore. This Pakistan team is clearly a shadow of the past and of their predecessors. What remains from Pakistan's efforts on the field last night was just empty bravado. While the opening stand with the bat was commendable, it's the frills, the trappings and the unnecessary noise that really took center stage. Seems like they spent way too much energy and effort in doing all of that rather than focusing on their performance, on bettering India, on winning the match. Take the opener for the opening stand, for example. The opener scored a 50 against India. That's great achievement. What did Farhan follow that up with? It was this. Now, the sport has seen many different celebrations. It's even let players push the envelope a bit when it comes to the kind of celebrations. From the regular, of course, to the bizarre and inane too. But that one, in the context of India-Pakistan ties today, unwise and rather brazenly stupid, a gesture that really had no place in the game. Let's say we discard this one, put it down to a youngster showing some fire. What was Haris Rauf doing? He's one of the seniors in that lineup. Seems like he makes it a bit of a habit to take on the fans who will always do their bit to cheer or jeer. He took on the Indian fans at the boundary ropes here last night and mimed a plane crash, saying 6-0, alluding to 6 jets Pakistan claims to have down during Operation Sindoor. The draw forget this was a cricket match. In fact, the noise and chatter doubled when the Indian openers came out to bat, making it a bit of a cauldron of drama. The youngster there, Abhishek Sharma, showed great resolve and grit to stay the course, and that's what Pakistan lacked yesterday. Something everyone, their own fans, as well as rest on the internet, exploded with.
एंजॉय किया, पाकिस्तान ने भी बहुत खेला. असल बात है एंजॉय करना, जीतेगा कोई भी कंट्री हम लोगों को फर्क नहीं पड़ता, लेकिन पाकिस्तान जीतेगा तो वेल एंड गुड, नहीं भी जीतेगा कंपटीशन हुआ, आज स्पिरिट हमारी जाग गई है. जी जी ना चेज कर पा रही है, वो बात सही है। वो मुझे लग रहा है कैप्टनसी में थोड़ी गलती है, हमारे कैप्टन में एग्रेशन नहीं है, ना ही कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है। कैप्टन हमें अच्छा चाहिए जो एग्रेशन शो कर सके और जो शो कर सके कि वो लीड कर सकता है। यू माइट हैव हर्ड इट, a herd without a shepherd is nothing. A herd without a shepherd is nothing, so you need a good shepherd for a good herd, and our herd is good, we just need to find a good shepherd.
Yes, geopolitical relations between the two countries are indeed tense, but there can be no relevance or place for gestures and innuendos that can only show your own players in poor light. There's a difference between taking a stand and indulging in childlike antics on the field just to grab the eyeballs or the attention. Indian squad members, for example, have taken a stand not to shake hands with Pakistan. That, in fact, continued after this game as well. But Pakistan have only succeeded in creating a lot of ruckus with their own complaints, threatening to boycott the tournament in the middle of their own participation, refusing to come out for press conferences, not coming out of their hotels to get to the venue for a match on time, putting up videos of an internal discussion between match referee Andy Pycroft and the Pakistan corps, claiming he was apologizing to them for his blunders, employing a motivator ahead of the Super Fours game against India on Sunday. Well, the list of all of these acts that they're doing off the field seems endless. And it seems like Pakistan are more focused on what's happening outside of the square, outside of the ground, and that's why the results column against India continue to be bleak. Jose Mourinho is back home in Portugal. He will now lead Benfica, but his big return isn't the only talking point. What's making headlines is his exit from Turkey and his comments after his unceremonious exit. Because Mourinho hasn't just walked away from the Super League, he's called the league not his level, essentially branding Turkish football as below par, below standard. That's a drastic U-turn, especially from the man who, when he first arrived, promised to change Turkish football forever. Is the special one now making excuses to stay relevant for his next job? When Mourinho arrived in Turkey, it was celebrated like a national festival. It wasn't just Fenerbahce signing a coach, it was Turkish football signing up global relevance. Because this is a man who has won everything: the Champions League, the Europa League, the Conference League. Mourinho is the only coach to have lifted all three UEFA competitions. And this wasn't a one-sided love affair either. Mourinho fed into the hype, promising glory, promising history.
It's a big responsibility that I feel, and I promise you that from this moment I belong to your family. This shirt is my skin. From the moment I signed my contract, your dreams are now my dreams.
Surely has a way with words, but it felt like destiny there. Mourinho, the man who made Porto Champions League winners, was ready to do the same in Turkey. At first, the signs were all there. The league suddenly became more entertaining. His presence brought the spotlight back on Turkish football. Fans across Europe and even Asia tuned in. Not for Fenerbahce, but for Mourinho. But slowly things started to sour. The theatrics turned into tantrums. His passion transformed into frustration. Mourinho began blasting referees. He accused rivals like Galatasaray of favoritism. He was even accused of racism after a heated press conference earlier this year. Instead of elevating the league, Mourinho's stint became more about controversies. Now that's still okay. It is Mourinho after all. With him, there's always sugar and a healthy dose of spice. The biggest problem was the results. He was hired to dethrone Galatasaray but never managed it. He failed to qualify for the Champions League, and when the results didn't match the hype, Mourinho switched on the blame game.
I made a mistake going to Fenerbahce. It wasn't my cultural level, it wasn't my football level, it wasn't my level. Coaching Benfica is returning to my level, and my level is coaching the biggest clubs in the world.
But let's pause right here. Yes, refereeing in Turkey is poor. Yes, club politics is messy. But does that really give Mourinho the right to dismiss an entire league as one beneath him? Because history tells a very different story. The man who calls himself special became special by winning the Champions League with Porto, a club nobody gave a chance to back then. A team built on local talent, discipline and tactical brilliance. If anything, Turkey was the perfect opportunity for him to replicate that fairy tale. But instead of building a Porto 2.0, he collapsed under the pressure of it all. And what about this cultural excuse? Let's be real, every league has a different culture, has a different setup. England is not Spain, Italy is not Portugal. Yet Mourinho thrived when he was winning. Culture wasn't an issue when he was beating Pep Guardiola back at Inter. Culture wasn't a problem when he made Chelsea serial winners. Culture wasn't a barrier when he charmed Madrid into giving him the job. So why now? Maybe the truth is Mourinho isn't evolving anymore because results are no longer backing his brand. And here's the irony, Mourinho says his level is coaching the world's biggest clubs. But in reality, those clubs aren't calling him anymore. Manchester United sacked him. Tottenham sacked him. Fenerbahce. So instead of reinventing himself, he's pointing fingers instead. Yes, he's a legend. He will always be remembered as the man who broke dynasties, who turned underdogs into champions. But today he looks less like the special one and more like the one giving excuses because football has transformed. It's changed. While Mourinho is busy fighting yesterday's battles, if he truly believes Benfica is his level, then this is the opportunity to prove he still belongs at the top of the table. But if he fails here as well, then maybe it's time for Jose Mourinho to accept the sad truth that the game has moved on. And the special one, he probably isn't so special anymore. Football's greatest rivalry isn't done just yet. Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi may be nearing the final chapters of their careers, but before they hang up their boots, a brand new battlefield is emerging. Not in Europe, not in South America, but in Asia. And the next stop is India, where the fight isn't for goals, trophies or titles, it's for something far bigger. Supremacy in the world's most populated country. And given everything that's happened, the controversy in Hong Kong, the frenzy in Saudi Arabia, the madness in Miami, the question is simple: will Ronaldo dominate Asia again, or can Messi make a comeback? And by the end of 2025, India will be the epicenter of a rivalry the world has lived for nearly 2 decades. But here's the twist in the tale. The two legends won't even face each other for this one. Cristiano Ronaldo and Al Nassr will play FC Goa in the AFC Champions League 2. That's happening in October and it's happening in Goa. Then in November, Lionel Messi is expected to visit the Indian state of Kerala for a friendly. And just weeks later, in December, Messi lands in Mumbai for another mega event. Different months, different stadiums, different competitions, but one common denominator: India's football fans. Sure, India is still finding its feet in the global sport. The national side is beginning to rebuild under Khalid Jamil. They've had a horrid last 1 year. The ISL has just survived months of uncertainty, but that doesn't matter because India has what counts: a gigantic football fan base, just like the rest of the world. Messi and Ronaldo aren't just players here, they're religions. That wasn't Buenos Aires, that wasn't Rio. That was India. Brazil versus Argentina, and fan battles in the Indian state of Kerala turned into mini riots there, proving passion doesn't base itself on geography. So imagine the kind of fire that's bound to be lit when both Messi and Ronaldo come here, and back to back. But here's the challenge. Messi hasn't cracked Asia. Last year, Inter Miami's Hong Kong tour turned into a bit of a disaster. Fans paid huge money, waited hours, only to see Messi sit out the match. The backlash was brutal. You saw the sequence of events that happened there, ending with Messi's apology. The same fans who worshipped him turned against him overnight. The damage was done despite the apology. Now compare that to Ronaldo, the Portuguese star featured in Saudi's Super Cup match in Hong Kong. He didn't win the title, but he won the crowd. He played, he engaged, he showed up. Now has been named captain for the side in the game against FC Goa, and that's the difference. Right now, Ronaldo rules the Asian market. He knows the stage, the platform, he knows his fans. So when he walks out in Goa, odds are he will play, he will deliver, and he will own the spotlight. But don't write Messi off just yet. This time, the Argentine is arriving in India with a bit of a plan. He knows the Hong Kong fiasco dented his image. He knows he can't afford another misstep, so he's begun crisis management. And how? Rather dramatically. On Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 75th birthday, Messi signed and sent over his World Cup winning jersey, a gesture straight from the 2022 triumph. And reports say Messi will not only visit India, but also meet Prime Minister Modi. That's Messi's game plan, to win the political and emotional narrative even before setting foot on Indian soil. So here's what we're heading towards. On one side, there's Cristiano Ronaldo, the showman, the performer, the crowd pleaser. On the other, Lionel Messi, the magician, the record breaker, the world champion, seeking redemption in front of Indian fans after one of his biggest PR nightmares in Asia. Two legends, 2 months apart, one country and one question: who will wow India? And while Messi and Ronaldo battle for supremacy, the real winner could just be Indian football. After struggles with the ISL, the years of underperformance and questions over fan enthusiasm, the arrival of the two legends could really be that game changer. It could finally inject the energy Indian football really desperately needs. So while the two fight to win India over, the real winner is the football aspirations of a country that wants to punch up. Time for last serve. Paris Saint-Germain is gearing up to lock horns with Marseille in a high-voltage league clash tonight. But for the Champions League winners, the support started right from the training itself. Nearly 600 ultras plus a group of specially abled fans all turned up to back their team, creating an atmosphere that felt almost like match day. For Marseille, the challenge tonight won't just be PSG's star power, but also the roaring passion of the Parisians. Take a look. That wraps it up here for us on Firstpost. I'll of course see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care. Bye-bye.